How's it going, everyone? This is Maximilian, and the Heroes and Heralds patch is finally out. But there were some pretty significant changes that took place to some characters in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and system changes alike that I wanted to cover before we get into Heroes and Heralds. Now, if you want to see a really good summary of some of the infinites and some of the glitches they've removed, you can check out Desk's video, and that's in the description below. But some other things have been discovered, some buffs and some nerfs for certain characters. Now, let's go over those really quick. The invincibility of Phoenix Wright's beta assist, which was Press the Witness, was actually removed. It's a pretty decent assist still, but the big draw of it is that it had a lot of invincibility at the start, and it gave you a good reason to get Phoenix Wright into turnabout mode, but now it's actually gone. And I really don't agree with that. I think Phoenix Wright needed more things, and taking that away was probably not a good idea. A couple of other changes that haven't been documented very much is that Chris actually got a really good buff, and it's that he can now cancel his flamethrower into special moves or his launcher, so this actually becomes a really decent zoning tool instead of just a combo ender and allows him to build a lot more meters, so shoutouts to Chris for getting mystery hidden buffs. Another character that got kind of a weird nerf was Hulk, and his medium command throw now throws the opponent way further down the screen. And before you were able to follow up with a combo, but now that they get chucked so far, you can't actually do so, so a mysterious hidden nerf within Hulk. Hagar also got a little bit more damage on his rapid fire fist, so this is kind of a small buff, but it hasn't been mentioned very much, but if you mash the hell out of rapid fire fist, you'll actually get about 20 to 25k more damage. So let's now dive into what all you guys are talking about and everyone's playing right now, and it's Heroes and Heralds. So when you first fire up Heroes and Heralds, I don't want to talk too much about the overall experience because I think you guys know now what Heroes and Heralds is and what it's bringing to the table. But if you don't happen to do it, I'm not going to do a breakdown of that because there is an extremely extensive tutorial that shows up when you first fire up the game. There's a lot of information that they present to you really fast, but the biggest and most absolute glaring issue with Heroes and Heralds is the fact that it did not come with an offline multiplayer, so you cannot locally play against a friend in Heroes and Heralds mode, and that's really disappointing. I'm hoping that a patch later on will fix this, and if you guys really were looking forward to offline Heroes and Heralds, please leave a comment below. Hopefully with an audience of people playing this game mode want an offline mode enough, they might actually patch it into the future. So if you can, please mention below that you want Heroes and Heralds in an offline mode as well, and hopefully we can see something down the line. But I'm going to give you some tips as far as Heroes and Heralds and what you need to be doing first before you start jumping online. So you're going to notice that Heroes and Heralds is composed of cards and decks, and these cards give you unique attributes, but you barely have any at the start. What you immediately need to start doing is choosing these locations to go to, and then fighting characters in these locations. The more you win, the more cards you're going to get, one every single time there's a victory. And when you actually get this hit list, this list of a multiple amount of characters, if you successfully do a complete line, whether it's horizontally, diagonally, or up, you actually get a bonus stage. Now these bonus stages are what you really want, and by getting them, they allow you the chance to get rare cards, and the rare cards are the stuff that's really good that you're going to need for playing the game online. The problem is that once you go into one of these bonus stages, the difficulty is higher, and then once the difficulty's higher, the higher chance you have of getting a rare card. But if you guys have ever played the CPU of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on like very hard or the hardest, it is pretty difficult. The CPU becomes like self-aware and knows everything you're going to do, and literally attacking will not do much. But there's some tips for beating the CPU that'll make it a lot easier. The CPU is extremely susceptible to a zoning game, like chipping the crap out of them with ranged damage, or using characters that have hyper armor or super armor. So things like the Hulk, Nemesis can be pretty good, if not Sentinel as well. When you get higher and you get to like the 5-star games, you better believe that if you're air dashing in and teleporting in and attacking, the CPU doesn't get mixed up. It chooses to let you allow it to take damage every once in a while, and whether you can capitalize on that situation is up to you. So it's not like you're going to get better by playing the CPU, because the CPU doesn't fall for mix-ups. So don't feel bad if you're cheesing the CPU on like the hardest setting out, because you're not learning anything by playing a computer on a fighting game anyway. But once you beat these, you start to get your cards. And a lot of these cards have crazy attributes and abilities, and start playing a lot, because you're going to want a very expansive card deck before you go online. And I learned the hard way. I just went immediately online. I'm like, oh, I got a couple of cards, this should be fine. And then I ran into a guy using the Hulk, who had like a defense boost, and would also recover all of his red health. That's right, he would not actually have any health but red health, and he would literally run away with the Hulk and just recover all of his life. And I'm like, how am I supposed to beat this? So you really got to be ready for stuff like this. I even recently saw on Filipino Champ's live stream that you actually have a card that removes meter from somebody when you hit them, so you can actually prevent Dark Phoenix from coming out in that situation. So there's a lot of crazy anti-strategies and other strategies that come with this stuff. My personal favorites right now are the Nightcrawler card, that allows you to pretty much, whenever you do a dash or like an air dash, you disappear and then you reappear. The animation in between is still there, so you can still be hit and everything. It's not like you're actually gone, it's just a visual change, but it's just extremely cool to look at. The other one that I really like is the parrying one. And the parrying one is similar to Third Strike, we all know, but a lot more easy to execute. And it gives you a lot of situations where I think you can even parry while you're getting hit. It's absolutely nuts. But the big thing that I have an issue with is that I can't play like 3 fighting games at once and stay really good at one. So I'm going to try to choose some cards that don't really affect gameplay styles. What I really find funny is that air dashing animation for everyone is actually in the game, so that means that at one point everyone actually had an air dash in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So things like that really affect gameplay, and if I use Chris and I start air dashing all the time and I start using Chris in the regular game, I'm going to try to air dash sometimes, and it's going to get me killed because I'm a creature of habit, and I can't break that for some damn reason. But the other thing I want to note is how you set up your cards, and quite literally, you notice that cards have 2 different attributes, like a main one and a sub one. Well, you get 3 different cards to choose from, a main card and 2 sub cards. So you'll notice that there's a star next to one of the cards, one of the attributes. That's the main attribute. The one below it is the sub attribute, so you're only allowed 1 main attribute card and then 2 sub attribute cards. So realize that you do not get the attribute on the bottom unless it's a sub card and your main card goes first. So I'm going to try to use cards that just benefit me just for Heroes and Heralds, and try to use different characters than I would normally use for like online competitive or regular play. So things with give you more hyper armor, things that might actually give you more meter, things that don't directly affect how a character individually is affected, things that give you multiple X factor, you know, stuff like that. But what I'm looking for is some of the cheap stuff, and what I immediately realized playing online is that I'm not playing cheap enough. Like in Heroes and Heralds, you have to go ham, all out, and try to win a game with as many cheesy things as possible, because that's pretty much how it goes. It's how cheap you can get the game mode, and that's why it's a lot of fun. So if you guys have found any specific combinations of cards, any like specific set that you think is really crazy or seems really powerful, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and I'll try to feature them in the next video where we actually get into a lot of the ranked online games. So that's going to be just about it for this Heroes and Heralds patch breakdown. Like I said, if you could leave a comment below if you found certain card combinations that can be really powerful, effective, please do so, and I'm also curious which teams you're running. Of course, I'm running Team Heroes just because, and there's a lot of Heralds out there right now. If you're Team Heroes or Heralds, or I'd like to say Team Doom versus Team Wesker, put your comment in the section below, I'm pretty curious. And we'll be back soon with a bunch of Heroes and Heralds online games. Thanks for watching, everyone. This has been Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.